The neon lights of San Francisco's Chinatown district pulsed with an otherworldly glow, casting long shadows across the rain-slicked streets. Among the throngs of late-night revelers and tourists, a lone figure moved with purpose, her leather jacket glistening under the flickering signs. Jade, the Tempest Morrison, ex-Special Forces turned underground fighter, had a score to settle. Her emerald eyes scanned the crowd, searching for the telltale dragon tattoo that would lead her to tonight's secret location. A flicker of movement caught her attention. There, ducking into a narrow alley, was her mark. Jade followed, her combat boots splashing through puddles as she descended deeper into the labyrinth of back streets. The sounds of the city faded, replaced by the distant thrum of bass and the unmistakable grunts and thuds of hand-to-hand combat. A hulking bouncer materialized from the shadows, blocking her path. "Password," he growled. "Thunder Fist," Jade replied without hesitation. The man nodded, stepping aside to reveal a hidden door. Jade pushed through, descending a narrow staircase into the pulsing heart of San Francisco's most exclusive fighting arena. The underground chamber was a riot of noise and color. Spectators from every walk of life crowded around a raised platform where two fighters were locked in brutal combat. Money changed hands rapidly as bookies worked the crowd, and the air was thick with the smell of sweat and adrenaline. Jade scanned the room, her trained eye picking out potential threats and exits. That's when she saw him, Rex the Viper Hawkins, her former commanding officer and the man responsible for the betrayal that had ended her military career. He stood at the edge of the crowd, his serpentine gaze fixed on the fighters, a cruel smile playing at the corners of his mouth. Before Jade could make her move, a hush fell over the crowd. A spotlight illuminated a raised platform where a man in an impeccable white suit stood, microphone in hand. "Ladies and gentlemen," his voice boomed, "welcome to the qualifying round of the International Street Fighter Tournament. I am your host, Victor Cage, and tonight we separate the wheat from the chaff." The crowd erupted in cheers as Cage continued. "Our champion will not only claim a prize of $10 million, but will also earn the chance to challenge the mysterious benefactor of this tournament, the one, the only Shadow Master." Murmurs rippled through the audience. The Shadow Master was a figure of legend in the fighting underground, a puppeteer who pulled the strings of global criminal empires. "Now," Cage's voice cut through the chatter, "let's welcome our next combatants." In the red corner, weighing in at 250 pounds of pure muscle, the terror of Texas, Bulldozer Bob Briggs. A mountain of a man stomped onto the platform, his shaved head gleaming under the lights as he flexed for the crowd. And in the blue corner, Cage paused for dramatic effect, a newcomer to our arena, but a legend in the Special Forces, the woman they call the Tempest, Jade Morrison. Jade's head snapped up in surprise. She hadn't planned on fighting tonight, but as the crowd's eyes turned to her, she realized this was her chance. To get close to Rex, to uncover the truth about the Shadow Master, and maybe, just maybe, to reclaim her honor. She shrugged off her jacket, revealing the lean, muscled physique honed by years of military training and underground fights. As she climbed onto the platform, Jade locked eyes with Rex. His expression flickered with recognition, then twisted into a sneer. "Fighters, take your positions," Cage called out. Jade faced off against Bulldozer Bob, her mind racing. This wasn't just a fight. It was the first step on a path that would lead her to the heart of a criminal empire and force her to confront the demons of her past. The bell rang, and Bulldozer Bob charged forward with a roar. Jade's body moved on instinct, years of training kicking in as she sidestepped the rush, using her opponent's momentum against him. Her fist connected with his kidney, eliciting a grunt of pain. But Bob was no pushover. He recovered quickly, spinning with surprising agility for his size. His massive fist whistled past Jade's head as she ducked, feeling the wind of the near-miss ruffle her hair. The crowd's cheers faded into white noise as Jade focused entirely on the fight. She danced around Bob's powerful but predictable attacks, landing quick jabs and kicks that slowly wore down the bigger fighter. As the round neared its end, Jade saw her opening. Bob telegraphed a haymaker, putting all his remaining strength into one final blow. Jade waited until the last possible moment before dropping low and surging upward, her fist connecting with Bob's jaw in a devastating uppercut. The giant staggered, his eyes glazing over. Jade pressed her advantage, unleashing a flurry of strikes that sent Bob crashing to the mat just as the bell rang. The days following Jade's victory in the underground tournament were a whirlwind of intense training and clandestine information gathering. She knew that to uncover the truth behind the Shadow Master and clear her name, she'd need to dig deeper into the criminal underworld that seemed to permeate every corner of San Francisco. 1 week after her fight with Bulldozer Bob, Jade found herself perched on a rooftop overlooking the city's bustling port. The salty breeze carried the faint scent of diesel and sea spray as she peered through a pair of high-powered binoculars, watching a group of men unloading crates from a nondescript cargo ship. "Anything yet, Tempest?" A voice crackled through her earpiece. "Negative, Cipher," Jade replied, addressing her newfound ally. Daniel Cipher. Chen was a former CIA analyst turned hacktivist, and he'd approached Jade after her fight, offering his services in exchange for help bringing down a common enemy, the Shadow Syndicate. "Wait," Jade whispered, focusing on a sleek black limousine that had just pulled up to the dock. "We've got movement." The limo's back door opened, and out stepped a figure that made Jade's blood run cold. Rex Hawkins, looking as smug and dangerous as ever in an expensive suit, strode towards the ship's crew. "It's the Viper," Jade hissed. "He's overseeing the shipment personally." "That confirms our intel," Cipher's voice came through, tight with excitement. "Whatever's in those crates must be big. Can you get closer?" Jade was already on the move, scaling down the side of the building with practiced ease. She stepped to the shadows, her dark clothing blending seamlessly with the night as she crept closer to the docks. Rex's voice carried on the night air. "Ensure everything is in place for the next round of the tournament. The Shadow Master won't tolerate any mistakes." Jade's mind raced. The tournament, the Shadow Master, the mysterious shipments, it was all connected, but how? Suddenly, a hand clamped down on her shoulder. Jade spun, her fist already in motion, only to have it caught in an iron grip. She found herself face to face with a woman whose beauty was matched only by the deadly glint in her eyes. Well, the woman purred, her accent a mix of Russian and something Jade couldn't quite place. "What do we have here?" "A little mouse, scurrying where she doesn't belong." "Tempest, what's happening?" Cipher's panicked voice came through the earpiece. Before Jade could respond, the woman plucked the device from her ear and crushed it beneath her heel. "No more distractions," she smiled, her grit on Jade's wrist tightening. "I am Natasha Volkov, and you are coming with me." Jade knew she had seconds to act. She dropped her weight suddenly, using Natasha's grip against her to throw the woman over her shoulder. Natasha rolled with the impact, springing back to her feet with cat-like grace. Impressive, Natasha nodded appreciatively, but futile. The two women circled each other, the sounds of the dockworkers fading into the background. Jade struck first, a flurry of quick jabs that Natasha deflected with fluid ease. The Russian countered with a spinning kick that Jade barely managed to duck under. Their battle was a deadly dance, each combatant probing for weaknesses, neither willing to give an inch. Jade's military training clashed against Natasha's more acrobatic style, creating a spectacle that would have left any onlooker breathless. As they fought, Jade caught glimpses of the operation behind them. More crates were being loaded onto trucks, each bearing a symbol she recognized from her time in the Special Forces, the mark of a notorious arms dealer known only as the Merchant. The realization momentarily distracted Jade, and Natasha capitalized. A sweeping leg kick sent Jade crashing to the ground, the wind knocked from her lungs. Natasha pounced, pinning Jade with her knee while producing a syringe filled with an ominous blue liquid. Don't worry, little mouse, Natasha cooed. Soon, you'll be one of us. Just as the needle was about to pierce Jade's skin, a deafening explosion rocked the docks. Both women turned to see one of the trucks engulfed in flames, its precious cargo scattering across the pavement. In the chaos that ensued, Jade managed to break free from Natasha's grip. She scrambled to her feet, ready to continue the fight, but Natasha was already sprinting towards the burning vehicle. This isn't over, Natasha called over her shoulder, her voice barely audible over the growing pandemonium. Jade knew she should run, but her instincts told her this might be her only chance to gather concrete evidence. She darted towards the nearest intact crate, prizing it open with a crowbar discarded in the melee. What she saw inside made her blood run cold. Nestled in protective foam was a series of high-tech devices, neural implants, if she had to guess. But it was the logo etched onto each device that truly chilled her. A stylized dragon, its body forming the infinity symbol. The Shadow Syndicate, Jade breathed, snapping a quick photo with her phone before the sound of approaching sirens forced her to flee into the night. Hours later, safely ensconced in Sci-Fi's hidden tech hub, Jade nursed a cup of coffee as they pored over the evidence she gathered. Neural implants, Sci-Fi mused, examining the photos. Advanced stuff, but why would an arms dealer be shipping medical tech? They're not medical, Jade said grimly. I've seen prototypes like these before in a classified military project. They're meant to enhance human abilities, strength, speed, even aggression. In the right hands, they could create an army of super soldiers. Sci-Fi's eyes widened. And in the wrong hands. In the wrong hands, Jade set down her cup, her expression hardening. They could turn ordinary people into living weapons. Imagine a tournament full of enhanced fighters, each one a potential sleeper agent for the Shadow Syndicate. We need to stop this, Sci-Fi declared, his fingers already flying across his keyboard. I'll see what I can dig up on Natasha Volkov and this merchant character. You should lay low for a while. They'll be looking for you after tonight. Jade nodded, but her mind was already racing ahead. She couldn't shake the feeling that she was missing something crucial, some piece of the puzzle that would make everything clear. As she stared out the window at the pre-dawn sky, Jade knew one thing for certain. The next round of the tournament would be more dangerous than ever. But it was also her best chance to infiltrate the Shadow Syndicate and finally uncover the truth behind her fall from grace. Little did she know, forces were aligning against her that would test not just her fighting skills, but her very sense of identity and purpose. The game was changing, and Jade would have to adapt quickly if she hoped to survive the battles to come. The warehouse was silent save for the rhythmic thud of fists against a punching bag. Jade, the Tempest Morrison, moved with fluid grace, each strike precise and powerful. But her mind was far from the training at hand, wrestling with the revelations of the past few weeks. You're telegraphing your left hook, a gravelly voice called out. Jade spun to see an older man, leaning against the doorframe, his weathered face creased in a half smile. Master Tanaka, she breathed, dropping into a respectful bow. I didn't expect you until next week. Hiroshi Tanaka, former champion turned reclusive trainer, stepped into the light. The tournament waits for no one, Jade, and neither do our enemies. As if on cue, Sci-Fi's voice crackled through the warehouse's intercom system. Guys, you're gonna want to see this. Moments later, Jade and Tanaka crowded around Sci-Fi's bank of monitors. The young hacker's fingers flew across multiple keyboards, pulling up news feeds and classified documents with equal ease. I've been digging into the merchant's operation, Sci-Fi explained, his eyes never leaving the screens. And I found something big. Look at this. A grainy video filled the main screen, showing a clandestine meeting in what looked like an abandoned factory. Jade's breath caught as she recognized Rex, the Viper Hawkins, and Natasha Volkov among the assembled figures. Is that? Jade leaned closer, squinting at a shadowy figure at the head of the table. Sci-Fi nodded grimly. Victor Cage himself. And watch this. He zoomed in on a holographic display hovering above the table. Jade's eyes widened as she recognized the schematics for the neural implants she discovered at the docks. They're not just enhancing fighters, Sci-Fi explained. They're building an army. These implants don't just boost physical abilities, they can override free will. Whoever controls the implants controls the soldiers. Master Tanaka's face darkened. The Shadow Master seeks not just to dominate the underground fighting circuit, but to reshape the world in his image. Jade's fists clenched at her sides. We have to stop them. But how? We're outnumbered, outgunned, and they have technology we can barely understand. A contemplative silence fell over the group, broken only by the soft hum of Sci-Fi's computers. Then, unexpectedly, Master Tanaka spoke up. Not all of the old ways are lost, he said cryptically. There are techniques, ancient arts passed down through generations, that can rival even the most advanced technology. Jade, it's time I taught you the secrets of the dragon's breath style. Jade's eyebrows shot up. She'd heard whispers of this legendary martial art, but had always assumed it was just a myth. You mean it's real? You can teach me? Tanaka nodded sullenly. It won't be easy. The training is grueling, and time is short. But it may be our only hope of leveling the playing field. As if to underscore the urgency of their situation, one of Sci-Fi's monitors began flashing red. Oh, guys, we've got company. Security sensors just picked up multiple vehicles approaching, heavily armed. Jade sprang into action. Sci-Fi, initiate Protocol Omega. Wipe the systems and prepare for evacuation. Master Tanaka, we need to move. Now. But Tanaka remained calm, a slight smile playing at the corners of his mouth. Perhaps, he said, this is an opportunity rather than a threat. Before Jade could question his meaning, the warehouse doors exploded inward in a shower of sparks and twisted metal. Through the smoke strode a familiar figure, Natasha Volkov, flanked by a squad of black-clad operatives. Jade, darling, Natasha purred, her eyes glittering dangerously. Did you really think you could hide from us forever? Jade dropped into a fighting stance, ready to defend her friends to the last. But to her shock, Master Tanaka stepped forward, placing a restraining hand on her arm. Now, Tanaka said, his voice taking on a tone Jade had never heard before. Let's not be hasty. I believe we all have much to discuss. Natasha's eyes narrowed, then widened in recognition. Tanaka, but you're supposed to be dead. Tanaka finished for her, a wry smile twisting his features. Reports of my demise were greatly exaggerated. Jade's mind reeled. What was happening? How did Natasha and Tanaka know each other? And why did she suddenly feel like she was missing a crucial piece of the puzzle? Master, she began, her voice tight with confusion and the beginnings of betrayal. What's going on? Tanaka turned to her, his eyes filled with a mixture of regret and determination. I'm sorry, Jade, but there are forces at work here beyond your understanding. Sometimes, to defeat the darkness, one must first step into the shadows. With a speed belying his age, Tanaka's hand shot out, fingers striking a precise point on Jade's neck. The world swam before her eyes as consciousness rapidly faded. The last thing Jade saw before blackness claimed her was Sci-Fi being led away in handcuffs, and Tanaka deep in conversation with Natasha Volkov. As her eyes fluttered closed, one thought echoed through her mind. In a world of secrets and lies, who could she truly trust? Hours later, Jade awoke with a start, finding herself in unfamiliar surroundings. Gone was the Spartan warehouse. Instead, she lay on a plush bed in what appeared to be a luxurious hotel suite. As she struggled to piece together what had happened, the door swung open. Victor Cage strode in, impeccably dressed as always, a predatory smile playing across his face. Ah, Miss Morrison. So good of you to join us. I do hope you're comfortable. After all, we have much to discuss about your role in the upcoming tournament. Jade's eyes narrowed, her body tensing for a fight. But as Cage continued speaking, she realized that the game had changed once again. The lines between ally and enemy had blurred, and she would need all her skill and cunning to navigate the treacherous waters ahead. As the sun set over the city, casting long shadows across the opulent room, Jade steeled herself for the challenges to come. The tournament loomed, secrets waited to be uncovered, and somewhere out there, the true identity of the Shadow Master remained hidden. One thing was certain: before this was over, the very foundations of Jade's world would be shaken, and in the crucible of combat and conspiracy, she would either emerge stronger than ever, or be broken beyond repair. The roar of the crowd was deafening as Jade stepped into the arena. The tournament had moved to a massive stadium in Tokyo, a far cry from the underground fights where it had begun. Spotlights danced across her determined face as she surveyed her surroundings, acutely aware of the cameras broadcasting her every move to millions around the world. In the weeks since the confrontation with Cage, Jade had been forced to play a dangerous game of cat and mouse. On the surface, she appeared to be just another fighter climbing the ranks of the tournament, but beneath that facade, she was engaged in a desperate search for answers and allies. Her opponent today was a mountain of a man known only as the Colossus. As they squared off, Jade couldn't help but wonder if he, too, had been enhanced with the Shadow Syndicate's neural implants. "Fighters, ready," the announcer's voice boomed. "Begin." The Colossus charged forward with frightening speed, his massive fists whistling through the air. Jade dodged and weaved, her mind racing as she searched for an opening. As she moved, she felt the familiar warmth in her chest, the dragon's breath technique that Master Tanaka had begun to teach her before his betrayal. Despite everything, the training was paying off. Jade found herself moving with a fluidity and power she'd never experienced before. She ducked under a wild haymaker and countered with a palm strike to the Colossus's sternum, channeling the dragon's breath energy through her arm. The big man staggered back, genuine surprise registering on his face for the first time. Jade pressed her advantage, unleashing a flurry of strikes that drove her opponent to the edge of the ring. But the Colossus wasn't finished. With a roar, he surged forward, his eyes taking on an unnatural glow. Jade's suspicions were confirmed. He was definitely enhanced. The fight became a blur of motion and impact. Jade's skill and the nascent power of the dragon's breath technique were pitted against raw, technologically augmented strength. The crowd was on its feet, sensing they were witnessing something extraordinary. In a moment of clarity amidst the chaos, Jade remembered something Tanaka had told her during their training. The true power of the dragon's breath lies not in opposition, but in redirection. As the Colossus launched into a final, devastating attack, Jade didn't try to block or evade. Instead, she stepped into his charge, using his own momentum to flip him over her shoulder and out of the ring. The stadium erupted in cheers as the Colossus crashed to the floor outside the arena. Jade stood, breathing heavily, her arms raised in victory. But her triumph was short-lived. As she scanned the VIP boxes, her eyes locked with a familiar face. Sci-Fi. Her former ally sat next to Victor Cage, looking uncomfortable in an expensive suit. When he saw Jade looking, he gave an almost imperceptible nod towards a service exit. Jade's post-fight interview was a blur of platitudes and non-answers. As soon as she could, she slipped away from her handlers and made her way to the rendezvous point. Sci-Fi was waiting in a dimly lit corridor, nervously glancing over his shoulder. "We don't have much time," he whispered. "They're watching me constantly." "What's going on, Sci-Fi?" Jade demanded. "Why are you working with them?" "I didn't have a choice," he replied, his voice tinged with shame. "But I've been gathering intel. The Shadow Master, it's not who we thought. It's..." Before he could finish, a slow clap echoed through the corridor. Natasha Volkov emerged from the shadows, a sardonic smile on her face. "Bravo, little mouse. You've come so far. But did you really think it would be that easy?" Jade dropped into a fighting stance, but Natasha held up a hand. Now, there's no need for that. We're all on the same side here, more or less." What are you talking about? Jade growled. Natasha's smile widened. The Shadow Master, the neural implants, this whole tournament, it's all part of something much bigger than you realize. A war is coming, Jade. One that will be fought in the shadows, with fists and technology and sheer force of will. And we need soldiers like you. I'll never work for you, Jade spat. Oh, I think you will, Natasha replied coolly. Once you understand what's really at stake. You see, the true enemy isn't the Shadow Syndicate. It's... An explosion rocked the building, cutting off Natasha's words. Alarms blared as smoke began to fill the corridor. We're under attack, Sci-Fi yelled, his fingers flying over a hidden device in his sleeve. It's a third faction. They're after the neural implant data. Natasha cursed in Russian, then fixed Jade with an intense stare. Time to choose a side, little mouse. Stay and fight with us, or run and watch the world burn. Jade's mind raced. Could she trust Natasha and Sci-Fi? Was there really a greater threat out there, or was this all an elaborate ruse? As a can answer, a group of black-clad commandos burst through a nearby wall, their weapons trained on the trio. Leading them was a face Jade had hoped never to see again, Rex the Viper Hawkins. Well, Rex sneered. Isn't this cozy? Hand over the data, Volkov, and maybe I'll let you live long enough to see our new world order. In that moment, Jade made her decision. Whatever game Natasha and Sci-Fi were playing, Rex and his forces were the immediate threat. She dropped into the dragon's breath stance, feeling energy coursing through her body. Looks like the choice is made for me, she said grimly. Let's dance. What followed was a battle unlike anything Jade had experienced before. The confined space of the corridor became a crucible of violence as enhanced soldiers clashed with desperation-fueled skill. Jade moved like a woman possessed, the dragon's breath technique allowing her to take on multiple opponents at once. Beside her, Natasha fought with lethal grace, while Sci-Fi worked furiously on his hidden device, presumably trying to secure the valuable data. As the fight raged on, Jade caught glimpses of a larger conflict unfolding throughout the stadium. The tournament had become a battleground, with multiple factions vying for control of the neural implant technology. In the chaos, Rex managed to get the upper hand, disarming Natasha and backing her against a wall. End of the line, Volkov, he growled, raising his weapon. Time seemed to slow as Jade made her final move. With a yell that channeled all her frustration, confusion, and determination, she launched herself at Rex, her body blazing with the full power of the dragon's breath. The impact sent them both crashing through a window, out into the neon-lit Tokyo night. As they fell, grappling in mid-air, Jade saw the city spread out below them, a glittering maze of lights and shadows, secrets and lies. Whatever happened next, she knew that her journey was far from over. The true nature of the Shadow Master, the purpose of the neural implants, the identity of this mysterious third faction, all of these mysteries still waited to be unraveled. As the ground rushed up to meet them, Jade braced herself for impact, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. In this world of hidden agendas and shifting allegiances, she was determined to find the truth, no matter the cost. The neon-drenched streets of Tokyo blurred past as Jade clung to the back of a sleek motorcycle, her arms wrapped tightly around Sci-Fi's waist. The wind whipped through her hair, carrying the faint scent of cherry blossoms mixed with exhaust fumes. How much farther? Jade yelled over the roar of the engine and the chaos of pursuit behind them. Almost there, Sci-Fi shouted back, weaving through traffic with reckless abandon. Just hold on. In the days following the attack on the tournament, alliances had shifted like quicksand. Natasha Volkov had disappeared, leaving behind only cryptic clues about a hidden base beneath the city. Rex and his enhanced soldiers were in hot pursuit, their unmarked vehicles gaining ground with every passing moment. Sci-Fi took a sharp turn down a narrow alley, the walls so close that Jade could have touched them on either side. The pursuit vehicles screeched to a halt, unable to follow. This is it, Sci-Fi said as they came to a stop, before what looked like an abandoned subway entrance, the heart of the Shadow Syndicate's operation. As they dismounted, Jade caught movement out of the corner of her eye. She spun, dropping into a fighting stance, only to see Master Tanaka step out of the shadows. "You," Jade hissed, her body tensing for combat. "Give me one reason why I shouldn't take you down right now." Tanaka raised his hands in a placating gesture. "Because, my student, the time has come for truth. All of it." Before Jade could respond, the ground beneath them shuddered. The entrance to the abandoned subway slid open, revealing a high-tech elevator. "Quickly," Tanaka urged, ushering them inside. "We don't have much time." As the elevator descended at dizzying speed, Tanaka began to explain. The Shadow Syndicate, the tournament, the neural implants, they're all part of a plan decades in the making. A plan to defend humanity against a threat most can't even imagine. "What threat?" Jade demanded, her mind reeling. The elevator doors opened, revealing a vast underground complex humming with advanced technology. And there, standing before a massive holographic display, was a figure Jade had only seen in glimpses and rumors, the Shadow Master. As the figure turned, Jade's breath caught in her throat. The face beneath the hood was weathered and scarred, but unmistakably familiar. "Hello, Jade," said an older version of herself, a sad smile playing at the corners of her mouth. "We have a lot to talk about." The next hour was a whirlwind of revelations. The Shadow Master, this future version of Jade, explained how she had traveled back in time to prevent a catastrophic war between enhanced humans and those who feared their power. The neural implants were meant to level the playing field, future Jade explained, her voice heavy with the weight of years. To give humanity a fighting chance against what's coming. "What's coming?" Jade asked, though part of her dreaded the answer. A holographic display flickered to life, showing scenes of devastation on a global scale. Armies of sleek, inhuman figures marched across burning cities. "We called them the Omega," future Jade said grimly. "They arrived in my time, seeing our world as ripe for conquest. The neural implants were our last, desperate attempt to create warriors capable of standing against them." Sci-Fi, who had been uncharacteristically quiet, finally spoke up. "But something went wrong, didn't it? The implants, they changed people." Future Jade nodded. "Power corrupts. Some of those we enhanced became tyrants in their own right. That's why I came back, to refine the process, to build a defense force without losing our humanity in the process." Jade's mind raced, trying to piece it all together. Rex, Natasha, the tournament, it was all a test. To find those worthy of the refined implants. "Yes," Tanaka interjected. "And you, Jade, have proven yourself beyond our wildest hopes. The dragon's breath technique, it's not just a martial art. It's a way of channeling and controlling the power of the implants without losing oneself." A distant explosion rocked the complex, sending dust showering from the ceiling. "They're here," future Jade said, her face grim. "Rex and his faction. They want to use the implants to rule, not to save. We're out of time." She turned to Jade, her eyes, so familiar yet so different, boring into her younger self. "The choice is yours now. Take the refined implant, join us in the fight to save humanity's future, or walk away and hope that somehow history changes on its own." Jade stood at the crossroads of fate, the weight of two timelines pressing down on her shoulders. In one hand, future Jade held out a small glowing device, the refined neural implant. In the other, the exit to the surface and a chance to walk away from it all. The complex shook again, the sounds of battle growing closer. "Decide quickly," Tanaka urged. "Everything depends on this moment." Jade closed her eyes, feeling the energy of the dragon's breath flowing through her. When she opened them, her decision was made. She reached out her hand, her choice set to alter the course of history. But even as her fingers closed around her destiny, a new explosion tore through the chamber, closer than ever before. Through the smoke and debris stepped a figure Jade had almost forgotten in the whirlwind of revelations. Natasha Volkov, her eyes glowing with unnatural power. "I'm afraid," Natasha purred, her voice echoing with inhuman resonance, "that your little reunion is at an end. The Omega send their regards." As the chamber erupted into chaos, Jade realized that the true battle, for her future, for humanity's fate, was only just beginning. The air crackled with tension and the hum of advanced technology as Jade faced off against Natasha, the truth of the Omega invasion hanging heavy between them. The fate of two timelines balanced on a knife's edge, with Jade standing at the fulcrum of history. Whatever came next would determine not just the outcome of the tournament or the Shadow War, but the very future of humanity itself. The underground complex shook with the force of ongoing explosions as Jade faced off against Natasha Volkov, now revealed as an agent of the Omega. Around them, the air crackled with energy from damaged equipment and the charged atmosphere of impending confrontation. "You're one of them," Jade growled, her body instinctively sliding into the dragon's breath stance. "You've been playing us all along." Natasha's laughter echoed unnaturally through the chamber. "Oh, little mouse, you have no idea of the game we've been playing. Your future self's meddling has only hastened the inevitable." Without warning, Natasha lunged forward, her movements blindingly fast and inhumanly precise. Jade barely managed to dodge, feeling the wind from Natasha's strike ruffle her hair. As the two engaged in a deadly dance of strikes and counters, the others sprang into action. Sifo raced to a nearby console, his fingers flying over holographic keys as he attempted to lock down the facility. Master Tanaka and future Jade moved to flank Natasha, their expressions grim with determination. "The implant, Jade," future Jade called out, deflecting one of Natasha's attacks. "Use it now, or all is lost." Time seemed to slow as Jade glanced at the small device clutched in her hand. Could she trust this future version of herself? Was this truly the only way to save humanity? Memory flashed through her mind, the teachings of the dragon's breath technique. True power comes not from external sources, but from within. In that moment of clarity, Jade made her choice. She hurled the implant at Natasha's face, causing the Omega agent to flinch instinctively. Using that split second of distraction, Jade surged forward, channeling all her energy into one devastating strike. "Dragon's roar," she cried, her fist connecting with Natasha's sternum in a blast of concentrated power. The impact sent Natasha flying across the room, crashing into a bank of computers in a shower of sparks. But the Omega agent was far from defeated. She rose, her body morphing in horrifying ways, skin giving way to sleek, metallic plating. "Fools," Natasha's voice reverberated, now more machine than human. "The invasion has already begun. This facility will be your tomb." As if to punctuate her words, a massive tremor shook the complex. Alarms blared as Sifo shouted, "The reactor's going critical. We've got minutes before this whole place blows." Jade locked eyes with her future self, an unspoken understanding passing between them. Future Jade nodded solemnly, then turned to Tanaka. "Get them out of here. I'll hold her off and make sure this place is destroyed. We can't let the Omega get their hands on our research." But Jade began to protest, only to be cut off by her older self. "Live, Jade. Learn, prepare. The future is in your hands now." With a heavy heart, Jade allowed Tanaka to lead her and Sifo towards an emergency exit. Behind them, the sounds of an earth-shattering battle echoed through the corridors as future Jade engaged Natasha in a final, desperate struggle. They emerged onto the streets of Tokyo just as a massive explosion rocked the underground facility. The ground buckled and heaved, buildings swaying precariously as confused citizens ran for cover. As the dust began to settle, Jade turned to Tanaka, her eyes blazing with determination. "It's not over, is it? The Omega, the invasion, it's still coming." Tanaka nodded gravely. "Yes, but thanks to your choice, humanity now has a fighting chance. The dragon's breath technique, Combined with what we've learned about the neural implants, it could be the key to developing a defense that doesn't cost us our humanity. Sci-Fi, brushing debris from his clothes, chimed in. I managed to download a significant portion of the research data before we bailed. It's not everything, but it's a start. Jade took a deep breath, gazing out over the city's skyline. The sun was rising, painting the sky in hues of pink and gold, a new day dawning on a world that had irrevocably changed. Then we have work to do, she said firmly. We need to gather allies, set up a network. The tournament might be over, but the real fight is just beginning. As they began to move through the slowly awakening city, Jade couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. In a shadowy alley across the street, a familiar figure observed their departure. Rex the Viper Hawkins, his expression unreadable. Had he been changed by the events in the underground facility? Would he become an ally in the battles to come, or remain an enemy? Only time would tell. For now, Jade focused on the path ahead. The threat of the Omega loomed on the horizon, a storm gathering strength. But she was no longer the same woman who had entered that underground tournament all those weeks ago. She'd have faced her future, confronted impossible truths, and emerged stronger for it. As they disappeared into the bustling crowds of Tokyo, Jade allowed herself a small smile. Whatever challenges lay ahead, she would face them head-on, with the power of the dragon's breath flowing through her veins and the fate of humanity resting on her shoulders. The tournament may have ended, but the true test of her skills and her spirit was only just beginning. The legacy of her fists would be written not in the annals of fighting championships, but in the very survival of the human race. And as the sun climbed higher in the sky, casting long shadows across the city, one thing became crystal clear. In the game of shadows and fists, of time travel and alien invasions, Jade, the Tempest Morrison, was ready to play for keeps. The adventure, it seemed, was far from over. It was, in many ways, only just beginning.